What is one mistake you see investors make regularly within your role?
Being emotional, because emotions, which is
hard to do,
it's hard
easier
to do,
said than done.
You got to take the emotions out of it and think of it logically.
And after everything you've experienced over the last year, would you still buy another investment property?
I'm about to.
Are you?
So yes.
Any investors listening, any potential investors out there,
absolutely.
current landlords even?
Yeah, look, I know we've spoken a lot about the potential bad sides or negatives of tenants and tenancies and that sort of thing. But I think it's really important to point out that over a 17-year period for myself, it's only been 12 months out of that 17 years that's been bad. So at the end of the day, you're doing it for a reason. Everyone's reason is different.
Welcome back to the Hot Property Podcast. My name is Liz and I'm the head of performance here at Hot Property. Today we are talking to Josh. He is one of our investors and is a multi-investor throughout different states in Australia. It's easy to look at social media and the news and think that investing is all passive income and smooth sailing, but that's not the case. The difference is when something goes wrong, and it will, what happens when it does? So Josh, as I said, he's one of our landlords and he has some fantastic insights as he is a property investment consultant himself. So being within the real estate industry, he's had some great insights and he's had some less than ordinary tenants in the last 12 months. So we're going to touch on that today. So thanks for joining us, Josh.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into property investing?
Well, growing up, I guess like everyone hears about buy your own home and this sort of thing, and that was the sort of thing that got me into property, wanting to buy my own home. And then I realised that it's actually a really good driver of, saving for the future or building wealth for the future, and not relying on your superannuation and things like that. So what started the journey?
Yeah, for sure. Where was the first location that you purchased?
First one was in Launceston, my hometown.
Okay. And do you still have that property?
Yes, I do. Currently.
Great. So how long have you owned that one for?
Oh, this will show my age a little bit. So I bought that one in 2009.
Okay. So what, 17 years?
Today,
That's fine. And your property with us is in the Toowoomba Greater region. So what made you choose that location?
So in a previous life, I was in the military, so I moved around a fair bit, and I got sick of renting. Although now, if I speak to my clients, that's what I tell them to do. But look, it's just our point in time in our life where I had a couple of young kids and whatnot. So we decided to purchase a home with a bit of space around us because we'd been living in Sydney for 5 or 6 years before then. So.
Yeah. What did you do in the army?
Well, I was a combat engineer.
Okay, so can't talk about what you did.
Bits of it, but yeah.
Did you enjoy your time?
Yeah, look, I loved it. Obviously, it comes with its challenges and whatnot, but I'd do it all again, yeah.
Yeah. How long were you in the military for?
So it's about 10 years.
Okay. One of your investment properties obviously being in Launceston and then one in the Toowoomba Greater region. Have you noticed a difference within the markets between Tasmania and Queensland?
Yeah, look, there are differences, of course, but there's also quite a few similarities being, I guess, regional markets. They follow similar types of patterns and things.
Have you found one to be more positive than the other?
Yeah, look, it's like I said, they both have challenges, but I think overall they've both done what I needed them to do for the future. So.
Good, very good. As an investment consultant, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about investing?
Well, one of the things you brought up in the intro, Liz, is passive investment. Like if you want to have a passive investment, then don't get into property because, excuse my language, but shit goes wrong all the time and you got to manage it. And, it's not passive whatsoever unless you want to be a bad landlord and have a bad asset, basically. So.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people I talk to, and I was probably one of them right at the start of, and I hate this term, but my journey in property, I was probably thinking that you can sit back and things just happen and someone else takes care of it for you and you get rich.
So a bit of a hands-off landlord.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately not the reality. Like property is a fantastic investment, but it's not something that you could sit back and let do its own thing. So.
Yeah. Have you been heavily involved within your property manager's journey with both properties?
Yeah, look, early on, I was really busy with the army and I just sort of let it do its own thing, and things went wrong, and I was just like trusting that it would take care of itself, and
Look after
it
itself.
didn't. So that really taught me a valuable lesson that you do actually have to be not only interested in it, but you have to communicate and understand, hey, it's my asset. I call it's an asset, but it's my property, so I've got to actually put my hand in my pocket and do stuff and help look after it and make decisions as well.
Meet minimum housing standards and all the things that come along with it.
All right, cool. So I guess when I first got into being a landlord, that my expectations were that it would just take care of itself. Right?
Yeah.
And, I quickly learned that if you just let it happen, then it's going to go slightly sideways. It's not all dramatic, don't get me wrong, but once I sort of got a bit of mentoring, talking to people that I guess I wanted to be like and emulate what they did in life, and understood that you have to really take an interest and be proactive in your investing and that sort of stuff, that building that relationship with your property manager is really important, and without that
open communication is so needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually funny you say that, Liz, too, because in the army we used to always say, it's a bit of a joke as well, but you say no commas, no bombs, and basically that means if there's no communication, stuff doesn't
It's
happen.
not bad,
So,
for sure. I guess from a property manager's perspective, it's hard to communicate sometimes with landlords because the expectation is big and scary and bad reactions. But in reality, you are people just like we are people,
absolutely.
Just trying to do a job and trying to act in your best interests.
Absolutely. And I think building those relationships from both sides, it makes it easier, because good news is easy to give, right? And it's easy to take, but things are inevitably going to happen. And the better your relationship is, the easier that communication both ways is. So, if you're a landlord and something's going wrong in your life, and it's easy
to take it out on somebody.
Exactly. So,
and normally that's us. It's easy, right? I think before we dive into the harder conversations, I think we should really touch on the positive aspects of property management and your experiences of them. So I guess we would like to start on what has investing in the few properties that you do have allowed you to achieve within your own life?
Everyone's different, and so our goals are going to be different over time. So what we're striving towards is always going to be different. But what it's enabled me to do is actually get my kids into schools that when I was a kid I could never have gotten into.
Yeah, great.
And that sort of things. But it's really setting me up for, I was joking before about my age and whatnot, but reality is I'm not going to, and I don't want to work forever, but it's really setting me up to not have to rely on superannuation and or the government or anything like that. And I can fund my own retirement. So
yeah, that is an amazing goal to have. And within your experiences within property investing, have the good experiences outweighed the bad?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're going to touch on some of the bad things, but
yeah, of course,
positives far outweigh it.
Okay.
And I'll funny being on a podcast, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of mentors within the property industry. They say,
of course,
sometimes you've got to eat glass. You've got to get through the bad times to get to the good times.
Yes.
But the positives definitely outweigh the bad. And
would you encourage others to invest in property despite the challenges that do arise?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and you might think I'm a little bit biased because of the job that I do now.
Obviously, you're in the industry, yes.
Yeah, but I absolutely encourage anyone, if you can get into property, then do it. There's a big misconception out there that I just can't afford to get into property, but a lot of people are a lot closer to getting into property than what they think they are.
Of course.
It's just a matter of resetting, as we said before, expectations. And Australia's a big country. There's lots of different property markets within the country, so there's always something that you can achieve. So.
Do you see that regularly? Clients of yours come across your desk that they think that they cannot invest, but they do have the affordability, they do have the ability.
Absolutely. So it's about seeking a mentor, seeking the team, and it doesn't have to be us, and or
of course.
or you guys as property managers and whatnot. But it's really important to build a team that you can trust, and everyone
brokers and everyone on side.
Everyone that I work with, we're all human. We've made mistakes, but that's why we're here, to stop clients making mistakes. And one of the big misconceptions is, like I said, and you just alluded to, is I can't afford to. But, you can.
Especially with rents as high as they are at the moment.
Absolutely. And with the new policy changes, rents are only going to get higher. So.
That's a good prediction, but let's probably not jump into politics today. I think we keep with the ugly side, right? So I'm going to pivot towards the bad, the ugly, the part, I guess, in every world. People are always curious about that side of life. I guess you would have had a lot of people when asked about being in the military, they want to know about the blood and the gore and the crazy overseas trips. And
they want to know the bad stuff.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about that within the property industry. Over the last 12 months, you've sadly had 2 not so great tenancies.
Yep.
So do you want to touch on your experience, what's happened on a surface level? Obviously, I don't need you to deep dive or throw anyone under the bus, but
I wouldn't do that anyway. But look, it's mentioning the 2 properties, like the one managed by you guys and the one in Tassie. They, for different reasons, they had bad tenants for very different reasons. But we had some really good tenants in the Tassie house, and I guess life happens. Things go wrong. And they just didn't look after the house, basically, and pretty well trashed it, and that's cost me about $75,000 and still going to fix that up. Whereas the most recent ones, I guess, without going too far into it, but they, no rent was being paid, and for obviously another life happens situation. But I guess the biggest difference, and I don't know if you want to touch on that or not,
of course.
But the biggest difference is the way that they were managed. Unfortunately, the other property was more of a reactive type of management, and I didn't know how bad the situation was until it was far too late.
Was there just no communication?
Yeah, there was communication, so I won't say there was none, but it was very superficial sort of communication. It didn't go too far into the actual details and things like that. And
so had they actually been to the property to see the...
debatable.
Okay,
so,
sure.
That's something else I'm dealing with at the moment. But,
sure.
It's...
And being so far away, you are so reliant on your property manager or their agency to do the right thing by you. That's what you pay property management fees for.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one of the big learning things that come out of it is so far so good with you, Liz. But
I'm glad.
Obviously, you need to do your vetting both ways. Like of course you do you vet your tenants, so to speak, when they come in, but you also need to vet the professionals that you work with. And it was a very big learning curve that just because you've been with the company for a long time doesn't mean that they're going to look after you.
Of course. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't always understand is no matter how much you vet a tenant and know how much you look into their background and check their pay slips and their affordability and all of those things, a perfect application is not always a perfect application.
Legislation only lets you see
so much, right?
Yeah.
For sure. And what was your experience differences between your hot property experience and your Tasmanian property experiences? Obviously both negative. Let's not name drop, right? There's obviously been not great tenancies on both sides. So what was the difference making a positive out of something that's incredibly negative?
Absolutely. So as I was saying, reactive versus proactive, or passive even, passive management. And so you were right on top of it right from the get-go, which I really, really appreciate because it just shows that even in a bad situation there can be positives come out of it. And if you stay on top of it, then, everything's manageable. Whereas the other property, unfortunately, was sort of just let do its thing. And like I said, I didn't really, understand the whole picture of it. So I just put my trust and faith in it and By the time it was sort of clear what had
Unfolded.
how far down that path it had gone, it was sort of unsavable.
Sure. And did your expectations of property management change once things became difficult? Did you expect more or less from your property manager?
I don't know. I probably won't cover myself in glory here, but, I do expect quite a lot.
Of course.
But that's sort of, I expect that from
In life,
everyone
right?
in life, right? And unfortunately, not everyone's of that same standard.
Calibre, yeah.
So, that was something that over the time I have learnt that you have to set standards. You've got to communicate what your standards and expectations are. In life in general, but, especially when it comes to something that's really so valuable.
Of course. I think a lot of owners assume property managers can simply just remove a tenant from a property the moment like rent falls behind or damages occur or something, but unfortunately that's not how legislation works, and we are very bound by legislation. And so are you though, as a landlord, you're incredibly bound by legislation. So did anything surprise you about what property managers can legally do during this both property processes of...
I think the biggest surprise to me was the difference in legislation between states. That one blew my mind a little bit, but you're very restricted by legislation of what you can do, what you can't do, and timelines. Timelines is probably the biggest one. For me as an owner, the timeline is what hurts more than anything else.
Yeah, of course, because that's time without income.
Yeah.
And a lot of people rely on that type of income to live their life.
Well, and pay mortgages and things, right?
Exactly. Pay a mortgage, live their life. A lot of people that don't have mortgages left, they need that income. So looking back now, what made you feel supported throughout that process? Whether from both agencies, I don't know what happened in Tasmania.
I won't touch on that too much.
Okay, sure.
So, just the communication. It was really open. And for me, that's really important. Say, hey, something's happened, but we're on top of it. We know what's happening. Yeah. This is what we're going to do. And you laid it out
pretty clearly.
Pretty clearly or what the process is going to be like. And I really appreciate that. And, you set my expectations as well. So.
I appreciate that. I often say anyone can manage an easy tenancy, but it's when things go wrong that you really discover the quality of a property manager, which you've obviously dealt with personally. What do you think separates a good property manager from one that just simply collects rent? And I think this is probably a good thing for people that have got average, inverted commas, property managers out there to look for.
Yeah, and first of all, I would say that property management is not easy. So this is not...
You are correct.
It's not to say anyone is bad at it, but there's definitely different levels of it, right? So,
of course.
I think being proactive and that communication, like I've said about 55 times now.
We've definitely talked on communication a lot, haven't we?
But the other thing is having, I guess, that care, because at the end of the day, you're trusting someone to look after your property.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment, right?
Or more potentially, So a property manager that actually is in your corner. They're there to protect you and your, I keep calling it an asset, but, it's your house.
Your retirement.
Yeah, exactly. It's your future, basically.
Yeah. And if another investor was going through exactly your scenario and what you've gone through, what advice would you give them?
Look, everyone's different. Everyone reacts to things differently. And I think, again, communication, be willing to jump on the phone. It's easy to jump on the phone and say, hey, can we put the rent up or something like that? That's fantastic.
Yeah, because it's an easy conversation.
It's an easy conversation, but jump on the phone and say, look, I need help. What can you provide in support and that type of thing, and just come up with a plan or reach out to a mentor or something like that.
Yeah,
that is really.
Have you had mentors throughout your process of property investing?
Yeah, absolutely. When I say mentors, has never been an official mentor. I've never paid for mentor or anything like that. Sure. But there's so much information and access out there these days. Just jump online and plenty of podcasts. There's plenty of videos on YouTube where you can find any info that you want. And there's this day and age with Instagram and everything. You can jump on and get reels and things of people that have done what you've wanted to do and where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Rather than
Give you a
listening to
pathway of how
Auntie
to
Jan at
achieve.
the barbecue that's never achieved anything in life telling you not to do something.
Of
you
course.
don't listen to those people.
Yes.
So.
Staying away is probably great
Yeah.
advice in those scenarios. How did the situation make you ever question whether property investing was worth it?
Oh, I had a moment where I was questioning. I was like, is this really worth the headache? And when I took that emotion out of it and looked at things logically, it is absolutely worth it.
So with your Tasmanian house, you've had it for about 15 years.
Yep.
Is this your first time for that property that you've dealt with a negative tenancy?
Yeah, absolutely. I've
So
had
they're
some
pretty good odds,
amazing
right?
tenants. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing tenants, like long-term, or have they been a pretty short-term kind of market, 12-month kind of tenants, or a bit longer term?
Testing me now, Liz.
Okay.
I'm too old to remember. So, no, I've had some really
Cogs
good tenants.
turning.
Yeah. I had some long-term tenants, a couple of them. When I say long-term, a couple at about 5 years, and then after that there was 2 tenants after that, and things happen.
So in your consulting advice, they're pretty good odds, right?
Absolutely.
So 15 years and one bad tenancy does not equivalate to the world ending or something really, really negative within the investing space.
No, absolutely. And look, one thing that we do say to our clients is, make your property manager love you. So basically,
I don't know if you've done that yet.
No, I'm yet to achieve that. But basically, all we mean by that is just build those strong relationships. And,
of course.
Because, I'm not saying that you'd be like this or anyone in particular, but, if you've got relationships there, you're going to be more likely to be looked after as well.
Of course. And if you had the opportunity to give advice to any investors, what would be one piece of advice you would give them before buying their first investment property?
For the first one, look, getting mentors, building relationships with people that you trust or people you want to be like. Or when I say that, what I mean by is that they've gone through the things and they've got evidence that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Great.
And don't think it's going to be easy.
No.
But it's worth it. So.
It's worth it. What is one mistake you see investors make regularly within your role?
One mistake, being emotional, because emotions, which is
hard to do,
it's hard
easier
to do.
said than done.
You got to take the emotions out of it and think of it logically. Yes, it sucks when something goes wrong. It feels so good when it goes right, but you got to look at it from a longer point of view and understand that, hey, logically this is going to get better or whatever, depending on what's happening at the time. But over time, it's going to be for the best. So.
And after everything you've experienced over the last year, would you still buy another investment property?
I'm about to. So,
Are you?
So yes. So.
Hopefully within the Toowoomba region, right?
No, maybe not, but we'll see. That's not because it's a bad area, but it's spreading out the portfolio.
Okay,
so.
That's exciting. That's very exciting for you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
If someone asked you today whether professional property management is worth it or to self-manage, what would you tell them?
That is a great question because I hear that quite a lot. I'm not going to pay someone to look after. Yeah, I only live up the road. All right, mate, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know the legislation. If something goes wrong, you're not going to know what to do. So, absolutely.
Even basic tasks like processing rent every week, or we do it obviously daily because of the scale that we look after, but making sure your tenants are paid up to date is the number one.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you got reverting back to military terminology, but you got no top cover, you got no overhead protection. Like, if you're doing it on your own, you've got all these balls in the air, and
no one's catching them.
No, that's right. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just winging it.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? Absolutely, it is.
Great. So, did you have any final advice to give any investors listening, any potential investors out there, current landlords even?
Yeah, look, I know we've spoken a lot about the potential bad sides or negatives of tenants and tenancies and that sort of thing. But I think it's really important to point out that, over a 17-year period for myself, it's only been 12 months out of that 17 years that's been bad. So it's not the norm. There's a lot of my clients that have never had a bad experience, and there's a lot of people that I know outside of that have never had a bad experience. And I think it comes back to having that team around you and the professionals that know what they're doing and know how to manage stuff, and having the right tools in the toolbox to do whatever needs to happen to ensure that it is that continued on down that positive path. Because at the end of the day, you're doing it for a reason. Everyone's reason is different.
Yeah.
But property's a long-term game. It's not a get-rich overnight thing, unfortunately. But
wouldn't it be nice if it was?
It'd be beautiful.
For sure, for sure. I think today's conversation has highlighted something really important. Property investing isn't always smooth sailing. Good tenants can become bad tenants, and sometimes applications that look perfect on paper don't always turn out that way. So sometimes legislation can make difficult situations take much longer than we'd like, but what investors can control is who they choose to have beside them. The right property manager won't stop every problem that happens, but they'll communicate, guide you, advocate for you, and they'll help navigate those challenges with confidence. Josh, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your experience openly today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.